What's going on, everybody? It's Nick Kosko here with 247 Sports, continuing our discussion on the NIL here in college athletics, this time in a different approach, of course, with Allstate and the Good Works team. And I'm pleased to be joined by Emmanuel Acho, former Texas linebacker, NFL vet, and, of course, Emmy Award winner. This guy does it all. Emmanuel, thanks for joining me, man. And, first, just talk with us about what this Good Works team does with Allstate, with all of the good work they do off the field, honoring these college athletes, and now in terms of the NIL.
Yeah, man. Well, the NIL, as you know better than anyone, it revolutionized the college landscape, allowing athletes, student athletes, to now be compensated for the name, image, likeness, et cetera. Well, Allstate finally has this opportunity based on the NIL to honor the great work of the 22 student athletes across all divisions. By just rewarding them financially. I am a bit happy, a little bit jealous, because your boy wishes he was around for those days. But I think it's beautiful because, Nick, as I look at it, and I got my Emmys in the back of my shot just because it's a very humbling thing for me. I say this, Nick, I say, when you get honored for doing something which you never did with the intention of being honored, it's that much sweeter. When you get honored for doing something and you never did it to be honored, it makes it so much sweeter. And I think about these 22 student athletes who are now being rewarded by Allstate, because Allstate just had the brilliance of being at the forefront of saying, you know what, we're going to honor your good work. I think it's that much sweeter for Allstate. It's that much sweeter for the student athletes. It's that much sweeter for the entirety of college athletics, because NIL has the ability to be very kind of polluted, if you will, and controversial. But what Allstate's doing is just simply genuine and brilliant.
So what are some of the examples of some of these guys that have done this work off the field? I know they're making a pledge to charities as well, or to these respective charities from these student athletes. So what are some of the things that you've seen so far from these college football players or some other college athletes that are being honored by Allstate? I mean, what stands out to you among these off the field works?
Well, I think there are a couple of them. One is very nostalgic to me. I know one is just children's hospitals and work there. That's probably the first one that's most nostalgic, because that's what I was doing when I was in college, along with going to Nigeria. One I just found incredibly unique is a food truck, just having a food truck for those in the homeless and those underserved communities, and being able to go back and replenish those communities. And then you have another incredible student athlete who's doing a lot of work trying to help others become teachers, become better teachers, and advance the educational community. Those are probably the three that stick out to me most, because that's what's such a big deal in our lives: education, health, and hunger. And so there are that, mind you, I just named 3 of the 22, and honestly, it goes beyond even the 22, but it's just very, you can't overstate, Nick, how amazing it is, because I just remember, dude, I was just working tirelessly and not even being able to be honored for the work. And now there are student athletes who are able to be honored for the work, and it's amazing.
So you think this might have a bigger impact on the NIL, considering, most of these deals are here's a car dealership, here is a restaurant, here's a new recruiting tool, so to speak, for some of these colleges. What do you think this does in terms of the NIL landscape, which again is only less than a year old at this point?
It revolutionizes the landscape, because so many people are going to follow the leader, if you will. They're going to follow the trendsetter. And Allstate has now set the trend. Allstate has now set the trend that, hey, we are going to, in a good way, advance college athletics via the NIL. We're not going to add to the controversy of it. This isn't about, hey, sign this or sign that. This is about, hey, we're going to honor what you've already been doing. See, what's unique about the NIL is it's going to make so many different student athletes start to create different things. But what Allstate is doing is like, hey, we've seen the work you've been doing, and we want to honor that. It'll revolutionize the industry. Because if you're another company, you're going to look at Allstate and say, we have to do what Allstate is doing. We have to follow suit. We have to follow the leader, if you will. So I think what Allstate's doing will definitely revolutionize college athletics.
It's amazing you say follow the leader. So now, I mean, when we talk about following the leader, we also talk about that type of work on the field in terms of football. So in the college landscape right now, obviously you're a Texas alum. You're a big Longhorn supporter. Steve Sarkisian, first-year head coach. Ups and downs so far, but of course, we're only 3 weeks in. But what have you seen out of Texas so far here in the 2021 season? And do you think they're on the right path? Of course, the big news is SEC a couple years down the road. But for now, it's still about Big 12 and maybe capturing a conference championship this year or within the next 2 years under Sark.
Texas is on the right path. Where the only misstep I believe Sark took was he didn't realize that Casey Thompson, who is now their starter at quarterback, is a gamer. I don't fault Sark really for the loss to Arkansas. Why don't I fault him for the loss to Arkansas? Because you show up at Texas and you got two quarterbacks. You haven't seen either of them play in a game. Apparently, from everything I've heard, Hudson Card's a better practice player. Well, if you haven't seen either of them play in a game, you got to play the better practice player. Now, in the midst of the Arkansas game, we all realized, this moment might be a little too big for Hudson Card. No problem. Hudson Card had only thrown one pass prior this season. He throws Casey Thompson in there, see a little bit of a spark. Casey Thompson plays well against Rice. Mind you, it's just Rice. Casey Thompson played well in the bowl game last year. So I don't fault Sark for the Arkansas loss. And I think, honestly, Texas is just going to grow and get better from that. I have Texas winning 9 games this year. I still see them winning 9 games. So I think they're on the right track.
And who knows, maybe with those 9 wins, you never know how Oklahoma's going to, go up and down this year. It's looking a little shaky. So maybe, you'll be celebrating a little bit of Longhorn success, maybe with a conference championship later this season. I could tell you're feeling a little bit.
Well, here's the interesting thing, man. Iowa State, I think they had a hard time dealing with their success. They've never been ranked that high, at least not in a very long time, starting the season, preseason number 7. Oklahoma, they haven't found their groove just yet. They've had a couple scares now. Now, Oklahoma's Oklahoma. They're so dominant. But they've had a couple scares now. Texas did have a loss, but it was out of the current conference. So we'll see how it shakes up. I think Baylor looks good right now. Oklahoma looks good right now. Iowa State still looks good right now. And then I'd probably say Texas is currently like the 4th or 3rd best team in the conference.
Just to wrap this up, I wanted to circle back to Allstate real quick. Just, where can people find more information about this pledge and obviously this NIL initiative based on the work that you're helping out? And then, this is just great work by these college athletes. Where can they find more information?
Yeah, you can find out about all the 22 athletes at ESPN.com/Allstate, ESPN.com/Allstate. Just learn about what these athletes are doing. We give so much praise to the star quarterbacks, the Bryce Youngs, if you will, the DJ Uyongaleles, if you will, but there's a lot of incredible athletes that are incredible students that are incredible leaders in the community. So check that out.
Emmanuel, thanks for joining me, man. I really appreciate it. Again, this is a great initiative. Can't wait to see how it takes off this year and for years to come. Appreciate your time as always, my man.
Nick, and go Birds.
That's absolutely. I love it. Go Birds.